Cough syrup and conquer. Unlocking the Secret Life Lessons Hidden in Drowsy Hallucinations by Zaliel S. Morpheus.
Copyright at Zaliel S. Morpheus. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, stored, or transmitted by any form or means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, scanning, or otherwise without written permission from the author. It is illegal to copy this book, post it to a website, or distribute it by any means without permission. This book is entire a work of fiction. The names, characters, and incidents portrayed in it are the work of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, events or localities is entirely coincidental. First edition 2024. Published by bookbyanyone.com. Note from author, this book is not written by me, it is AI generated. Mountain of Secrets. The solitude of the mountains, a haunting embrace. The mountains, those towering giants of rock and shadow, where the air is thin enough to tickle your nose with a hearty welcome and squeeze your lungs just enough to convince you that suffocation is a way of life. I must admit, my relationship with the mountains has always been a curious affair, like dating an introverted ghost who insists on whispering secrets from a past while simultaneously making an awkward exit every 5 minutes. It's a little like running into your ex in a coffee shop while a hipster music festival plays in the background, uncomfortable yet oddly enlightening. As I trudged my way up those beautiful, craggy slopes, I felt the familiar embrace of solitude wrapping around me like an overzealous comforter during an unexpected heat wave. The quiet was deafening, but I soon discovered that in a place where sound takes a backseat and silence rejoices like it just won the lottery, the mind becomes an orchestra conductor. You don't need a baton for this masterpiece, just a clash of cough syrup, preferably grape-flavored, for a little added creativity. You see, despite the glamour of being one with nature and basking in serenity, solitude often has a haunting quality. It's like flipping through a photo album filled with cherished memories, only to discover a few embarrassing snapshots from college where you thought wearing a fedora was cool. It's during these solitary moments in the mountains that your subconscious decides it's time to set up shop and start airing out all the dirty laundry you thought you had given away to the thrift store of life. Let's look at our failures, shall we? It says, while the majestic view of the valley below serves as the backdrop to your existential crisis. Of course, as the whispers of introspection drift through the crisp air, your imagination begins to run wild. Those rocks aren't just rocks, they're the faces of old acquaintances judging your life choices. That tree over there? It's your high school art teacher, and yes, she's still disturbed with that finger painting. The mountains have a way of transforming inanimate objects into quirky apparitions that share their unsolicited 2 cents. Sometimes they seem more like fellow hikers with gnarled expressions, ready to give you advice you never asked for on how to market your revolutionary cough syrup brand. Heaven knows I could use that kind of support while drifting into delirium. But amidst the waves of emotional roller coasters and ghostly critiques, the humor in solitude is undeniably rich. I've discovered that naming your fears gives them less power, so I like to call my anxiety Gertrude, a quirky name that induces a chuckle or two. Apologies to all the Gertrudes out there. I imagined her sitting on a rock, knitting a sweater out of my self-doubt, struggling through the fabric while casually giving me side-eye. In the eerie silence punctuated by wind howling through the pines, I couldn't help but laugh. Because if you can't laugh with your invisible friend Gertrude while getting existential in the mountains, then what's the point? Tangentially, I must mention the view from the peaks, which to be honest, was as breathtaking as the realization my life was just one bad rom-com after another. Standing there, it's hard not to envision yourself atop the world, like a majestic eagle surveying its domain, when in reality you're just a tangled mess who has recently questioned whether wearing socks with sandals was ever a good idea. But in those moments of clarity amidst the chaos, it dawned on me, the mountains aren't just an embarrassing reminder of all I lack, they serve as a canvas for the unfurling of my whimsical psyche. So the next time you contemplate solitude, especially packed in scenic mountains with a side of cough syrup, remember, it's not just a haunting embrace, it's a journey into the depths of the self. With every echo of loneliness, a laugh ripples through silence. Because if you can't turn your specters into comedy acts while perched on a cliff, then what are we doing here, my friend? The mountains may be lonesome, but they are also brimming with life lessons wrapped in absurdity. And who knows, perhaps the next time I meet Gertrude, she'll have learned a few knitting patterns along the way. Echoes of nature, the silent conversations. Nature, the wild untamed world full of the sound of chirping birds, rustling leaves, and the occasional rustle of your dignity as you attempt to climb a hill that seems suspiciously like Everest in a snowstorm. Being nestled among the trees is like engaging in an elaborate white elephant gift exchange, except all the gifts are mysteries of the universe that you never knew you needed until you found yourself knee-deep in a meditative swamp, pondering why the squirrel in front of you looks so judgmental. It turns out that nature is not only a beautiful backdrop, but also a fabulous conversationalist in the abyssal silence. Picture this: you're standing on a mossy rock, gazing into the vastness where the horizon meets the sky. Suddenly, the wind begins to ship through the trees and you start hearing murmurings. What is that? You can't help but lean in, your ears are straining to decipher the natural symphony. It's like eavesdropping on a casual conference call between the mountains, the clouds, and perhaps the Lord of Gnomes himself. I'm convinced that trees have their very own gossip network, exchanging not only stories about humans like yourself but also sharing the latest trends in leaf fashion. Who knew that photosynthesis could be so scandalous? But lo and behold, among the subtle rustles and whispers lies a truth: nature communicates in layers, much like that dating profile where the person claims to love hiking while secretly avoiding anything more strenuous than reaching for the remote. The trees are not just towering aloof guardians, they're nature's emotional support system. You walk among them, and their branches seem to nod in agreement as if to say, yes, we understand how life gets rough. Remember that one time you tried to impress a date by making a salad and accidentally poisoned yourself with expired dressing? We're here for you. I swear if only I could figure out how to translate a tree speak into a weekly therapy session, I'd be set for life. And the birds, while chirping their melodious tunes, you can actually feel the weight of their judgments. For every note they sing, there's a distinct flavor of sarcasm, much akin to that co-worker who insists that you watch a certain TV show but is actually just using it to gather gossip on your love life. Every tweet sounds like, oh look at this human wandering around in their uncoordinated gear. An absolute spectacle, trust me, those birds know far too much about you. Forget hiding your secrets, they'll be circling outside your window the next day, delivering the daily news of your harebrained escapades. Of course, amidst these silent conversations, there lies a profound realization about the essence of being in harmony with nature. Imagine having a debate with a babbling brook over the best method to make a cup of coffee. You might be immersed in nature, but it's as if the brook has opinions too, fueled by the silent philosophy of flowing water. Don't you get it? It says, life's too short to brew coffee like a peasant. You need a French press, my friend, and as I nod, following the brook's wise analogy, I start to wonder if stream water might finally upgrade my own caffeine game. As I hunker down, enjoying the mid-morning sun and listening intently, I can see each layer of nature revealing a constellation of meaning. Picture a butterfly that flutters by and it refuses to succumb to the "don't talk to strangers" mantra. It dances confidently, reminding us that true beauty comes from living boldly in moments that often feel trivial. In some peculiar way, the silent nature around us bursts forth, speaking truth to our fears, our ambitions, and even our inability to pick the correct television settings. So while we may find ourselves surrounded by chirpy conversations and leaves giggling amongst themselves, it's clear that nature's dialogue serves as a gentle nudge. It's there to push us closer to the edge of enlightenment and of course the incessant bump towards laughter. It whispers valuable life lessons we struggle to acknowledge in our busy lives. So next time you find yourself lost in the embrace of nature and overhear the whispers of trees judging your existential crises, just smile, wave back, and remember they might just have insights worth considering, and a solid opinion of the best way to brew that early morning coffee. Invisible friends, companions of the high peaks. The joys of solitude in the mountains, it's an exhilarating feeling, like being thrown into an impromptu comedy show where the only audience members are a herd of skittish deer pondering their next move and an overly ambitious squirrel with a caffeine addiction. But what happens when you venture too deeply into the embrace of Mother Nature? You accidentally summon your invisible friends into the fold, those loyal companions who never demand snacks but will gladly offer unsolicited life advice right when you least expect it. Now let me introduce you to my most-trusted invisible buddy, Duke the Wisp, a former knight-turned-ghostly guide. Duke is an expert in medieval ennui and has taken it upon himself to share the secrets of life as seen through an ethereal lens. He hovers nearby shrouded in mist and occasional breeze, occasionally offering snarky comments like, "You call that hiking? In my day we dragon slayed uphill both ways." Rest assured it's impossible to embarrass yourself around Duke. He's already spent centuries perfecting the art of being dramatique in front of an audience of zero. Our conversations are a unique symphony of one-sided banter and mildly pretentious musings about the intricacies of cloud formations. I vividly recall one particularly audacious hiking adventure where I found myself puffing and panting halfway up a steep incline. Duke, being the charming ghost that he is, chimed in, "You know, in my day we didn't complain while battling trolls. We just took a deep breath and consumed our weight in ale instead." This man's abdominals, had they existed, would have been carved from solid stone out of sheer indifference to physical inconvenience. The point stands, most of the invisible buddies you'll encounter will have a level of nonchalance that's profoundly inspiring. Then, of course, there's Felicity the Feather, a tiny avian apparition who flits about, attempting to instill some levity amidst our hike. "You don't need to be weighted down the heaviness of your thoughts," she chirps, swooping in and out of sight. "Just let go and fly like I do." But here's the catch: every time I try to channel Felicity's wisdom, I trip over my imaginary roots or lose my footing on unholy patches of dirt. A little less let go and a lot more hold on for dear life. I find myself shouting as I cling to a boulder of support, all while Felicity snickers somewhere above me. What can I say? It turns out that flying dreamily around the mountains is much easier for the ethereal than it is for mere mortals with balance issues. And who could forget the occasional visit from Fred, the phantom of self-doubt? Fred arrives unexpectedly, ready to whisper all the mean things you ever heard about yourself, an absolute must-have for moments of crisis. "Doesn't it feel a little silly?" he murmurs as I navigate the rocky terrain. "Are you sure you're cut out for mountain climbing? You could be at home wearing sweatpants and dunking Oreos in milk." It's curious really, how invisible friends have this uncanny ability to manifest just when you're trying to conquer your fears. But the moment Fred appeared, I retorted, "Oh please, Fred, you're not even real. Go pick on someone who believes in you. Take that imaginary guilt." Sometimes confronting your inner demons requires a clever mix of absurdity and self-empowerment, and who knew that a ghost could help defeat an unseen specter? The truth is, these invisible companions often reveal more to us than we realize. Their absurdity and relentless humor help dismantle the weight of hiking burdens while reminding us to embrace our peculiarities. Walking alongside Duke, Felicity, and even Fred, I begin to see the shared essence of their presence. Laughter can be a beam for tussles with self-worth and failures. Each colorful character adds a unique perspective to hike, proving that you shouldn't take the journey too seriously. After all, who wouldn't appreciate a ghost wearing a jester's hat while transmuting insecurity into a punchline? So, as you embark on your mountain adventures and find yourself engaging with these delightful invisible friends, remember that they are the manifestation of whimsy and self-reflection. They might not take up much space, but they fill the air with laughter, insight, and the occasional eye-roll worthy singer to keep you grounded, and if nothing else, their absurdity will remind you that even in solitude, the world is never devoid of companions. You just need to learn how to interact with the invisible ones to uncover the wisdom they impart. Embrace the quirks and let the high peaks echo with the higher laughter of your imaginary friends, for they truly make the journey unforgettable. The Art of Living Alone, a Soul's Journey. Living alone in the mountains, the ultimate soul-searching adventure for those of us who are special kind of rare breed, fondly dubbed as solitary introspection enthusiasts. Picture this: resting in a cozy cabin nestled in the embrace of nature, where the wood stove crackles like a poorly tuned radio, and the only thing I obsessively clean are the imaginary cobwebs crafted by months of neglectful isolation. People think living alone is all about having the freedom to eat cereal for dinner while wearing socks that don't match. Trust me, it goes far deeper than that. First of all, there's a profound art to setting the mood in your solitary abode. You think that after opting for one-on-one time with myself, I would develop an elegant routine of self-care and intimate reflection. Instead, I've perfected the delicate balance of existential musings and an awkward episode of me yelling at my houseplants for being completely useless and unable to engage in deep conversations about life's most profound mysteries. They say talking to plants helps them grow. During moments of desperation, I yell, "Get your act together, Fernie. I'm letting you live rent-free, and this is how you repay me." Apparently, self-reflection sometimes requires projecting your emotional baggage onto inanimate objects, and let me tell you, it really smoothed the art of living alone. Of course, there's bound to be a comedic twist as the routine dreariness sets in. One fateful evening, I plopped down on my well-worn couch, a veritable throne of solitude, and decided to give myself the honor of binge-watching a series that was absolutely riveting. In a candid moment of profound self-reflection, I found myself dancing like a deranged windmill during a particularly dramatic scene. Cure the neighborly concern and frantic glances from the wildlife outside, wondering if I'd finally succumbed to the cabin fever. Alone yet stirring up ridiculous chaos. Living alone has its perks and pitfalls, after all. And then there are the late-night contemplations that could rival Shakespearean soliloquies. While the moonlight beams down on my residence, simultaneously illuminating my insecurities, I'm deep in thought, pondering the fluctuations of existence. Did I ever think I'd become a Zen master of self-doubt? Apparently I did. Should I adopt 3 cats or find a new hobby such as extreme knitting? I ask myself audaciously. Spoiler alert, the cats are still an unfulfilled dream and extreme knitting remains a questionable venture. The solitary heights and lows are akin to a roller coaster of absurdity, complete with a round of applause from my deeply judgmental houseplants. But here's where the journey takes a significant turn. Living alone teaches you the value of self-coddling. Whether it's treating yourself to popcorn as a prime dinner choice or mixing up some questionable cocktails worthy of a wild Friday night with your own reflection, you begin to master the art of being your own best friend. Picture this: one quiet evening, I sat on the porch sipping a lukewarm concoction I affectionately called Zaliel's Disaster. It was truly a mixture of what else is in the refrigerator: half a bottle of cough syrup, a splash of apple juice, and a sprinkle of no regret. Not to brag, but I'm a connoisseur of culinary mischief. On another particularly daring day, I decided to teach myself how to juggle. As I fumbled countless times with a mix of apples and oranges like an uncoordinated circus employee, I couldn't help but laugh. Living alone bestows upon you the freedom to fail without judgment. The closest encounter I had with failure prior to this was attempting to cook pasta while daydreaming of noodle wrestling championships. Living alone provides a safe space to embrace the absurd and develop a deeper understanding of your quirks, one clumsy toss of fruit at a time. Let's not forget the philosophical banter that emerges from extended solitary moments. Who knew that watching dust bunnies serenade one another could trigger existential revelations? Am I merely a collection of dust bunnies? Lost in the grand scheme of things, I pondered aloud. Fear not, for I am also a master of bad jokes. One minute I'm questioning the meaning of the universe, and the next I'm reenacting legendary stand-up routines to keep myself entertained. In between my existential rants, my heart beats steadily, resonating with the know-how that solitude can be transformed into a powerful source of inspiration. In the end, the art of living alone is a soulful journey marked by laughter, introspection, and perhaps a sprinkle of madness. It teaches us resilience while reminding us of our whimsical nature, the beautiful absurdity of our human experience. So whether you're dancing alone in your living room, shouting at houseplants, or flamboyantly failing while juggling an odd assortment of food, never forget that these moments of solitude are gifts. They offer us a chance to tell our own stories and embrace self-absurdity with open arms. After all, amidst the insanity and chaos, a soul can truly discover its depths and quirks, and let's face it, those are the attributes that make life hilariously unforgettable. The lessons of silence, discovering inner voices. In the grand tapestry of life, silence often gets a bad rap, like that one friend who steals the last cookie and then claims they were just holding it for you. But nestled in the plush comforts of the mountain solitude, where the echoes of nature wrap around you like an awkward hug, I discovered that silence isn't just a lack of noise, it's an untapped reservoir of humor and insight waiting to burst forth like an overzealous champagne bottle on New Year's Eve. The lessons of silence, they wait patiently, ready to unveil the inner voice, often disguised as the boisterous laughter echoing in your mind. Picture this: you're settled into your cozy cabin, swirling a cup of mediocre herbal tea. Yes, I'm still attempting to be fancy despite having 4-day-old pizza on my counter, and the world outside offers nothing but a serene quiet. At first it feels almost offensive, a stifling absence of sound, like that time I accidentally entered a meditation class instead of yoga. However, as the minutes tick by in silence, it dawns on you that the space between thoughts can play host for the most curious ideas. It's in this stillness where the realization of first skips in grasp. Perhaps my inner voice is simply my imitation of the neighbor's cat, a disinterested observer judging every cupcake I baked. But let's not forget, inner voices love to embellish stories. One moment you're pondering the meaning of life, debating whether to add another layer of nacho cheese to your dinner, and out of nowhere, your mind tosses out a profound proclamation: you shall build your empire of chips and dip. No, perhaps it's not quite that epic, unless of course, you've invented a world-shattering chip amalgamation worthy of Michelin stars. It seems the silence fosters a dynamic environment encouraging my inner self to speak in metaphors, leaving me perched precariously between mundane thoughts and potential nacho fame. In time, though, that initial bewilderment ebbed away, replaced by a more reflective approach to silence. I began to embrace the whims of my inner voice, that quirky, mischievous spirit encouraging me to explore the depths of creativity rather than spiraling down the black hole of self-doubt. And goodness did that voice love to ramble. My inner dialogue transformed from "you're not good enough" to "what if you wrote a rock opera about the life of a broccoli stalk?" Yes friends, a broccoli rock opera. Cabbage Patch choreography galore. In that moment, I realized the silence had unearthed potential I never imagined, the power to ridicule myself while simultaneously elevating broccoli to the spotlight it never asked for. With the lessons of silence echoing in my ears, each ba-dum tas became a new realization waiting to be tapped into. I discovered that my inner voice, once a nagging string of self-criticism, can marry absurd humor with unexpected wisdom. The silence became a realm for my mind's fanciful exploration, where I often found myself drifting into profound thoughts and outrageous questions. Perhaps we do need better pizza toppings. Pineapple is so yesterday. What if we combined the rebellious audacity with fluffy pancakes? But beyond amusing conundrums lay deeper lessons that silence illuminated over time. In those quiet moments, I unearthed the voices of my past, those faint echoes of both triumph and defeat. Remember that time you tried to impress someone by using a souffle recipe and it turned into a pancake? My inner voice mockingly chimed in. Yes, I was there. But with absurd reflection often comes authentic growth. Acknowledge those failures as humorous stepping stones toward the grander feast of experience that life tosses at us buffet style. As the sun set over the majestic peaks, the brilliance of silence became abundantly clear. It's within those still spaces that we truly begin to understand ourselves. The cacophony of distractions fades away, and we learn that our bodies and minds have longed to express. With gentle nudges from our inner voices, we find courage in vulnerability, the freedom to tackle our absurd fears and celebrate our foolishness. To embrace silence means recognizing the depths of ourselves without the incessant chatter of external noise, an understanding that laughter can indeed break like light through cracks of anxiety. So here I stand, basking in this intimate company of silent contemplation, guided by the whispers of my inner voice, remarking on the glories of nachos and the potential of future culinary endeavors. If anyone arrives to witness my silent adventures, fear not, just know that they've stumbled upon an experience worth laughing at, with the unwavering presence of humor drawing everyone nearer. Because sometimes the vital lessons of silence turn serious introspection into a raucous party, one best enjoyed with absurd snacks and unapologetic laughter.